Uh, Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Underground. My name is John Spangle. I named this channel Underground. I was thinking of I had to come up with the title for the channel, and it's been a learning experience for me. I've been doing this for 3 years now, on and off. I've had health issues, and I started this just because I love talking about God, and I don't claim to have the answers to everything, or I'm a scholar. I'm still learning as I go. But I wanted to get a project that was positive in my life. I was going through cancer, hard time, stage 4 cancer. I made it through that cancer, and uh, I have other health issues, and so I started this channel, and it's been, like I said, it's been on and off for 3 years. Uh, right now in my life, God, our lives. I understand. Uh, I'm sorry, progress. It's late at night, and I've been having some health problems the last few weeks. I'm having kidney surgery in a couple weeks, and there's a lot going on in my life personally. Going through a divorce. My wife and I were married for a lot of years. We divorced, and then I remarried her, hoping that she had a change of heart and everything. And we were married a second time for quite a few years, but unfortunately we are separating. We're going through the process of divorce, and she's on with her life and having her fun, which is unfortunate because I pray for her all the time. But we are in the last days. I named come up the title Underground, as I said before, is because I was thinking about the underground church that's present today in China and Iraq and Iran. I was thinking of these places at the time, and that's why I came up with the title for this YouTube channel. I apologize for my. A lot of times I'll get uh, caught in my thought, and sometimes I have speech trouble. So it's a stepping out of my bubble to do these videos. I for PTSD, I was doing counseling today through the VA, and because I'm a combat veteran, that affects me on a lot of things in my life, and so this is a process for healing for myself, and like I said, to talk about God. God is so much in my life. Like I talked to the person today, was what's helped me a lot through a lot of things is my belief in God. It keeps me going. Uh, some in my previous videos, I talked about what's going on in my life, and it's a testimony. That's how we are as Christians. A lot of times, a lot of bad things happen to us. Um, like this house, a tree fell on this house that we live in 9 months ago. We were living in a hotel for a long time, and I was having issues with the insurance. They weren't paying out like they were supposed to, and because the contractors gave an end date of November of last year, so they stopped paying. So I'm limited budget through VA. I'm disabled veteran, so I had to live off of that to pay the hotel room. And that was a big part of my income, and now we moved back in the house, and God has blessed me. We because of January 1st of this year, packed out various veterans who've been over areas and overseas that have cancer, certain kind of cancers. We've been given a little extra money, so I'm making a little bit more than $200 a month now, on top of my disability. I was at 70% disabled veteran. Now I'm 80%, so it adds a little bit more, which helps me out. Trying to this month, I got a little bit more money trying to help me live. So still struggle financially, but I'll make it. Um, God's not going to, He says, don't worry. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about what you're going to wear. Don't worry about. I'm not big into prepping. A lot of people with everything going on in this world are doing a lot of prepping, trying to prepare for all this bad stuff that's about to happen. But I truly believe for the body of Christ, that doesn't mean things don't happen at times. There's been times I don't look at, but there's been times where I've not eaten for a long time. Things like that happen. I think that's makes you appreciate more. I spent 2 years in Iraq, and there's your things you learn, you appreciate, like taking a shower, and you appreciate a cold drink. That's something I learned in the desert. But there's a lot of things you take for granted, and so there's a lot of things you have to deal with in life and what we do, and right now there's a lot of things going on. The rapture of the church is about to happen. A lot of people are talking about it a lot lately because it's almost there. Because we know before tribulation, the rapture of the church happens, and then we're seeing everything lined up right now for tribulation. Everything is lining up. The one world government is lining up. The going to go one world religion. Everything is lining up for tribulation. Well, we know before then there's a time frame that the rapture will happen, and then there'll be chaos after that. That's going to cause chaos. When you see billions of people just disappear, it's going to be chaotic. And so, and that's what a lot of early religions Satan deceives us with. He talks about, tries to push, things coming out of chaos, like the Hindu religion, where everything comes out of chaos and everything comes about. But God is not chaos. God is about order, godly order, and He has a purpose for everything. And right now, what we're going to try to give understanding, I'm going to use 2 or 3 parables. There's nothing complex about Jesus, God. A lot of times I've heard people say, well, I don't read the Bible because it's very hard to understand. Well, it's hard to understand to the world. There's things I'm still learning in the Bible. I'm just now, I've been really ill for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't done much. I signed up 2 weeks ago. I was blessed and I was able to get enough money to sign up for this university where they teach you Hebrew. So I'm anxious. I've always wanted to learn Hebrew, but never got around to it. So now I'm going to try. It's going to be a challenge because I have trouble with my memory, and we're having issues, VA, and I have issues with my short-term memory. So my body doesn't retain B12. I take shots, and there's other things going on with my body that cancer can really mess you up. So I'm having a lot of issues with that. So that's the reason why a lot of times I'll get stopped in my train of thought, or I'll stutter sometimes in my words, trying to speak my words. Pretty scary at times, but at the same time, I know God's got me. So all my faith goes to God. But I'm learning it so much, but I've always wanted to learn Hebrew, and so I'm anxious to do that. It's going to be a work in progress for me to learn the Hebrew, and I hope to get started on that next week. That would be well enough next week to get started on that. But Jesus taught in parables, and He simplified things for us. And some people disagree, and I'm learning as I go, like I say. But like for an example, I don't have here, but there was an example of the parable of it's easier for something about going through the eye of a needle to get to heaven. Or like, I'm sorry, my train of thought's lost. But basically, what I'm trying to get at is it talks about going through the eye of a needle to be able to go to heaven. Is when they were referring to is there's gates that was around the area over in Jerusalem, and one of the gates was called the Needle Gate, and was close to the market. And how your needle for sewing is the top of it's open where you put your string through. Well, the needle gate was around the gate, and a lot of times they would come in on camels. The donkeys and things like that, not as much, but the camels, they would come in and like I've been overseas, and they put their supplies on them, and they're really out there on the sides. So a lot of times to go through this narrow gate, they would have to take some of the things off, take the camel through, and put the materials back on that they were going to sell in the market. So that reference was comparing going to heaven, like going through the eye of a needle, was comparing to how we have to get rid of our worldly baggage to go to God. We can't do it, and being weighted down. And that for regular people would be like, "What are you talking about?" If you didn't understand about what the reference is, and that's what parables are. Easier way for Jesus to teach. There's nothing complex about the Bible. The Bible's complex to the people that aren't studying or not wanting to learn God, and their heart are not searching God. The more I search, the more I learn. I know I'm having health issues and I have memory issues, so there's a lot of times I've deal with things because I like last year when 9 months ago when the storm went through and almost totally destroyed this house. Um, I lost a lot of my notes. I had a lot of notes I had written down for years of study, and I lost all that, and I couldn't take it back. I'm old school. I don't put things all over on my computer. On my laptop, I write notes. I got tons of notebooks, different subjects, and that's where I got. I like to do it at because I like to read, study, and then write down what I'm reading in the Bible because it helps me retain it better, especially with, like I said, I have memory issues. I keep saying, but so that's a lot to deal with. But right now, I titled this "The Harvest Time" because this is where we're at right now. We're at the very cusp of the rapture of the church, so we're in the harvest time right before the rapture, and then at that point, those that are coming to know God will be taken up, and then those will be left. There will still be people saved during that period of time, but what they have to go through, and it's not going to be a lot of people. Well, compared to the world, it's going to be a lot of people because there's still going to be millions of people saved during tribulation. But what they have to go through on earth is just devastating, and they have to basically give their lives. Most of it will be, a lot of times it talks about people being beheaded uh, for Christ, and that's just something that you to go through, but you didn't have to go through if you didn't. And the thing is, like I've had people talk to me and say, "Well, the rapture happens, then I'll understand." Well, you don't accept God before the rapture. What happens if you die? Before you, excuse me, my sinuses. You give a big problem. I mean, you know, like for some reason you're around something and you're killed right after rapture. You didn't have your chance to change your life around. It's too late for you. That's going to happen to a lot of people. They say some people will just disappear. Well, if they just disappear, they talk about different things. Like if someone's driving a car, if that person just disappears, is that car still going to go moving, or is that car? We'll see. We'll see because God's in control. He may not have a Christian at that point driving a car. He's our creator. He can do anything. Or there may be, like I said, someone driving a car, two people in a car, one to be raptured, one not. And the passenger is not to be raptured, and the driver is gone. Now the car wrecks and the passenger dies. He didn't have a chance to be saved then. He had the opportunity before, but he chose not to do it. So Jesus taught in parables, and I have a few parables here I wanted to read and speak about. And one is, I put a subtitle here about preaching in the church. So this is Matthew chapter 13, verses 13 through 23. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see these things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When any one heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. That is he which receiveth seed by the wayside. But he that receiveth the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root himself, but dureth for a while. For when in tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. And he also that receiveth seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deep deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he come unfruitful. But he that receiveth seed in the good ground is he that heareth the word, and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. So this is referring to preaching, as far as I understand, that as you go and listen to the word, how you receive the word is and affect that word in your life. like right now, I'm trying to be obedient to God. I don't go to church anymore. I haven't for quite a while. Various reasons, a lot to do with my health. So, and some of it is because I've got, uh, I'm going to go to a church that's going to preach correctly. And I always go to a church. I speak to a minister and get to know them. And it's not like I don't, there's not churches out there I wouldn't go to. Just right where the area I'm at, there's not a church that I'm going to at the moment. Um, but I'm not saying there, I know some people in the ministry, and actually I know a lot of people in the ministry that I would love to go to their church. One I listen to all the time, J.D. Farag. If I say that correctly, over in Hawaii, I would love to go to his church. There's many others, and of course, my mind eludes me, and I'm looking at the ministers right now, but their names are just not clicking in my head. And that's something I deal with all the time. I hate that, but there's quite a few pastors I listen to, and there's some that I listened to years ago. Then the teaching, like a John Hagee. I listened to John Hagee for many years, and then I realized later that there's a lot I totally disagree with him. I don't listen to him anymore. Another one was Perry Stone. I listened to him for a long time, and I do not uh, even consider listening to him anymore because of various reasons. There's a lot of men in mysteries because we are to study what they say and speak. Like the pastor J.D. Frog, uh, he's always like, well, double check my words, and that's why I like in a pastor. And there's quite a few pastors I listen to who are like that. Who I apologize, I just got so many in my mind I want to speak about, and I can't at the moment. That you can back up their words. You know that's what they're about. Anybody that says back it up with scripture is who I would go to. But I'm taking what I know and I'm doing the best I can with the ability I have, and I speak to people in life. I talk to people as much as I can about God. I attempt to live godly. I'm still in the flesh. I make mistakes. But I attempt to be the best I can with the abilities I have, and I try to spread the word of God. That's just why I do these videos. I know I'm not very entertaining. I'm not very articulate. I have a friend of mine that's a minister out in California, and we grew up together, and he's very good at speaking and doing things, and I'm not like that. I'm very awkward. I'm better off talking to a person one-on-one than I am in front of a video. I keep looking at myself, and I see this old man, so it's hard, but I do it because I want to be obedient to my Father. So I'm attempting to use what I'm learning and hearing and speak for, where there'll be others that, and like there's a lot of things going on. I got a lot going on in my health, my marriage, of course. It's to the point where I realize that it's over and I got to deal with that. Um, like I said, I still pray for my soon-to-be ex-wife. Um, this house, I finally talked to the contractors. Have issues. It's not even halfway done. And at this point, I just said, you know what? I'm walking away from it. I told them, you're done. I'm not going to fight anymore. You've been paid up front quite a bit of money. They keep griping for more money. I'm like, you know what? Let's consider the job done. I'll do it DIY, as they call it, do it yourself. I'll figure it out myself because I'm limited on what I do, but I'm going to do what I can to make it livable. Now, there's some things I'll have to try to save the money to do, like I got a gas leak, so I have no heat in the house, which I don't need at the time in summertime, but I will in the wintertime, so I got to figure a way to get the money to get that fixed because that's something I cannot crawl underneath the house and do. There's a lot of things I've experienced. I worked with building homes through my cousins years ago, and so there's a lot I could do, used to do, but I can't anymore. There's nothing I can't do in a house 20, 30 years ago. Obviously, today I can't do that. But I go forth and try to take what I learned and use that where it talks about there's other people that receive, don't hear the word correctly. A lot of churches today are tickling your ears. We are in the last generation. This is it. I don't think we're in the last season. They say when you're in the last season. We're not in the last season. We're in the last moments before the coming, when Christ comes in the clouds and calls us up. That it's about to happen. It could happen right now. It could happen next week, next year, but we are so close. If you say, well, put it exactly, I'm 58 years old. I turned 58 2 months ago. And I always talked about I get my military retirement when I'm 60. And because I did full-time military, but then I switched over and did the guards. So I retired out of the guards. So since it's a state, you get to retirement at 60. If I stayed full-time military and retired like at 30, did 20 years at 39, I would have got my retirement at 39. But I went later in life and I retired at 51. And so I get my retirement at 60. And I've told more than one person, I don't think I'm going to see it. I'm going to be up in heaven with God before I'm 60. And I still believe that. I really do. Even now more than ever. And I just turned 58. That's only 2 years. I just don't think I'll see 60. I might. That doesn't mean we won't, but we see everything else ramping up like Jesus Christ talked about in Matthew 24. So chapter 24, he talks about the end time. So we can see things happening. So I'm going to use this parable talks even more about today's harvest. It's Matthew 13, 24 through 30. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not know good seed? Not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together the first tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. This talks about the church today, I believe. That right now there's a harvest in the church. There's a lot of people that are in the church that cause problems in the church. And those are, as I says, the tares, and the wheat are the people that stand strong in the church. We're in the point in our lives right now that a lot that is being taught in these churches are wrong. I mean, you're seeing so much stuff. You're seeing things where they're allowing homosexuals in church now that it's wrong. They say, well, God's love, so you love so much, you tell someone if they're sinning, and you tell them to keep from sinning. Women preaching in the church, as talked about, that's wrong to do that. And of course, you're like, well, we love God too. Well, you're to teach other women and you're to teach children, but you are to take instruction from your husbands, and the leadership of the church are to be men. That's what God set it up to be. So there shouldn't be no argument. A lot of these things, people argue and complain. There is no argument. Our Creator set things up. Just do it. That's a lot of times you have to stand up for what's right, and it's not easy. There's nothing that says a Christian lifestyle is easy. Matter of fact, it's hard because you're against the world. The world is against you because the world's not about God. The world's about our flesh and everything else. But the last one I talked about is used for productive faith, which is the parable of Matthew 13, 31 through 32. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and soweth in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. I don't know in my lifetime who I help, if I've helped any. I know there'll be a time when I'll see God, and there may be a person I've helped. That's the reason why I did this YouTube channel 3 years ago. I'm not entertaining. I'm just talking about God, what I believe, There's been videos I may not be perfect on. I might have made mistakes. Uh, I took one video off. I've never really worked on it more because I had misunderstandings on it. I was talking about the order of Melchizedek. I can't quite say that right. And I was talking about that priest order, and I did the video. Then later, I was like, I'm not really comfortable with that video. And I think it's important when you put something out to be correct. If you're not sure, especially because we're talking about God, if you're not sure, take it back. So I took it back. It's a learning experience, and I haven't redone that video yet. I'm working on other things. But what I try to do is, like I said, be productive. Is I'm trying to not get too wrapped up into this world, but be prepared to leave this world. Excuse me. But at the same time, talk about God to others and to give an understanding of God and motivate others to study. That's the whole reason for this. Is to put some ideas in some people's heads and with the word and for them to study, give understanding. Someone could look at these 3 parables and get something totally different than me. People are different. Also, it has nothing to do with age when it comes to spirituality. One person could be a young person but have a lot of spiritual wisdom. Another person may be an older person and is spiritual like at a baby. I consider myself growing stage right now, to be honest, if I was to evaluate myself spiritually. But a lot's happened in my life, and that's what our lives are. Our lives is a testimony for Christ. So in heaven, we have our stories. And so it's nearing the end. The harvest time is right now. And that's what we're seeing. They're seeing the good with the bad, things happening. It's getting bad. But at the time that harvest, Christ is going to come in the air and it's going to call us up. And it's exciting times. It's not anxiety. It's like anxious. It's like I compare it to when I was in Iraq. We were in Iraq for 2 years. But a little bit over a year, they were saying, well, in 3 months, you guys get ready, pack up. We'll send you back and switch another group in here. 3 months, we get packed, get ready to move stuff, and all of a sudden, unpack. So we unpack. 3 months later, hey, you guys are going to get packed maybe in a month. Get ready. So we get packed. They did it so many times. I remember my first sergeant was just down. The guys would get so excited. You know, we've been through the thick of it. We dealt with Scud missiles. We dealt with mortars, RPGs, small arm fires. It was like nightly. You know, the IEDs, the mortars. I mean, after a while, the mortar attacks calmed down. We didn't have too many of those towards the end, but then everything started getting heavy again. When we did a change of command with 82nd Airborne that came in, bomber came in, exploded between 2 buses, people, and just blew everything up right near where we were at because they were trying to come in and blow us up. You know, because it was getting hot again, as we say, hot. You know, there's about a lull of 3 months where it wasn't too bad, very few attacks, and then all of a sudden it just kicked in, and there was so much going on. But we were anxious. We knew that soon will be a chance to go home. So I compare that to the rapture because, you know, it's almost there. You know it's near. You got that sense it's close, but yet the time's not right. But it's good. It's not right. And that's where we have to take a step back. And I'm like, you know, that's good because right now I have a son, doesn't believe in God. He mocks God. I pray for him. He's the one that always says, well, Dad, if the rapture happens, I'll understand. Well, but he has such a hard heart right now. I am honest. You know, I don't know if it's too late for him. I still pray for him. I won't quit. You know, you take care of family and friends and people you know. You pray. You do your best to help them. And that's what it's all about. Because you don't know where it makes a difference. You know, I may not help a certain person, but I may like sow that little seed where someone else can help that person. Or that may be a subject we talked about, and then later that person gets that in their mind and talks to somebody else, and then that's a better witness to them. Oh, I remember that old guy Spangle, old Sergeant Spangle was talking about that. Like some of the guys in the military, we always talk about different things, and he's like, I remember what that old sergeant was talking about. So one thing leads to another. And so I don't know where influences are. I don't know if I'm an influence. Sometimes I pray to God and I have doubts in myself. I'm still flesh. A lot of those people, some people will get, I call them, where they get kind of self-righteous. They think they're like, well, I'm just awesome and I'm not. We got to evaluate ourselves constantly. Paul talked about it. He had some physical ailment. Paul was able to do miracles. God used him. He was actually able to do miracles and help people and heal people even. Yet he had something physically wrong with him. He couldn't get healed and prayed for the healing. But in the end, he realized, he said, I ran the good race. I fought the good fight when he knew his time was short. But God never healed him, whatever that was. Some think it was eyesight, because he writes in his books and he talks about how he has a little trouble writing. I don't know what the ailment was. I don't know what he had wrong, but I look forward to meeting him. Actually, my daughter bought me I got in the living room a picture and shows the path, the journeys that Paul did. There's like 3 main journeys he did preaching the word of God. I'm anxious to meet him. But right now, the harvest time is happening, and soon harvest will be over, and we will be with God. So no matter how bad it gets, like I said, I got a lot going on in my life. No matter how bad it gets, God is there for us, and that is something that you can look forward to. It's to know that God is there. We have the blessed hope that He'll call us up in heaven soon. I look forward to it because I'll be out of this body and these issues. And a lot of times I'm tired anymore, and I'm in so much chronic pain, and it's all going to be over, And so I love God. I'll keep talking about God as long as I can. And I just can't put it in words. I just know it's there. It's almost time. And I look so forward to people I've known, people that I've been with. I look forward to those I've heard about to meet. And it's just going to be a wonderful time. And that's what we have, being part of the body of Christ. We have that longing, that yearning, that knowing that no matter how bad it's going to be, this is temporary. I was talking to one of the guys there today about going to the gym, what I used to do, what I can't do now. I used to do a lot of training, a lot of boxing and things that, because of my back, I'm humped over. I can't even stand straight anymore. All my disc, the fluids are out on my disc. I got degenerative disc disease real bad. Bunch of neck spurs, and they want to do surgery on my back, but they're holding off because I'm holding off because they say it's 50-50. They got to redo the whole back. And I've had guys I've known have surgery and done good, but I've had guys that had surgery and it's been a bad situation. So I'm not using a cane all the time yet, so I'm sticking out as long as I can. So, but I'm going to have a better body, and this pain will be gone, and I look forward to that, and I'll remember things, and I won't stutter as much sometimes when I get around people, and I start forgetting things, and this body's just going downhill, and I'm going to get a body that'll be eternal, and I'll be eternal with God, and I look forward to that. And I pray that it will happen soon, and I hope that watching this video, if anyone looks at this video, that it encourages you to study. And I know that like I said, I'm not very articulate, and a lot of times I'm down and tired. And I try to be uplifting, and I pray that it encourages you to study God's word and to talk to other people. That's what we need to do right now. Is just spread the word. A lot of people on YouTube are talking. And some people, it's bringing attention to themselves. I don't do this for attention myself. I don't like to look at myself in the camera. I do this to be obedient and speak. and like I said, encourage others. So God bless you, and thank you for watching this video.